Hey guys, and welcome back to Raptor's Garage. So today's project is, if you remember from one of the previous videos, we mentioned that we're going to build a full metal winch bumper. Now we've got our starting point, which is basically something I bought off eBay. It was a second-hand winch tray, so we're going to use that basically to form everything else off. Now I've already done a bit of work on this. We've just changed the shackle points for some much heavier duty ones, and we've also incorporated a backing plate here to spread the load, so those aren't coming off any time in the near future. We've already stripped everything off the front, as you can see, and then what I've done prior to coming to see Paul was I've mocked up this template of one of the sides of the bumper, which is essentially going to fit like this. So we can use this now to cut all the necessary pieces out of 5mm steel that we've got. We've got a sheet of 5mm steel. We're going to cut that with the plasma cutter. Paul's going to show me all everything that involves. We're going to take this apart bit by bit and then use these templates to cut out the necessary bits that we need. We're going to reinstate the indicators on this, and in addition to that, I've managed to scavenge some light guards off the wife's van. So we'll basically trim these up to size and we'll mount these on the front. And we're also going to use the old A-frame that we had originally on the vehicle, and we're going to actually mount part of it on the top here. So stay tuned, we're going to take you through the whole process and we'll see you in a few moments. Okay, so it's sourced a sheet of 5mm steel, got our template, and now basically what I'm doing is just trying as much as possible to use obviously as much of this steel as I can. What we don't have enough for, we've got some 3mm steel for sort of some of the infills, but the main kind of areas which we need to be as strong as possible, such as the top and the bottom areas here, we're going to use this 5mm sheet for. And then what we're trying to do is fabricate maybe some additional points within the actual bumper structure to mount it onto the chassis. And once we've got this marked out, we're going to hand over to Paul, who's going to take me through using the plasma cutter and show me how that works, and we're going to cut all our necessary pieces out and then start reassembling it back together.
I will get every bit of metal used, there will be no wastage.
I have to, because I'm too stupid to know what fucking half a sheet is. It's getting awkward if I'm starting to, trying to cut that kind of out, or...
Yeah, so we can only grind it into shape. I'm going to cut these out, all these interesting shapes out that Chris has left me on this piece of metal, and you can watch me while I do it. If I can find a straight.
Okay, so Paul has spent the last couple of hours with the plasma cutter cutting out all of these pieces out the original 5mm sheet of steel that we had. I've got a few more cuts to make, but we don't want to take the template apart too much because we're going to end up forgetting how it goes back together. But essentially now we're going to clean up all the edges and start, like basically a big game of Jenga, piecing all of this thing together. So we use a couple of tack welds, so we've still got a bit of movement in order to move it. this is the base of the bumper, which is where we're kind of starting from our winch tray starting point. We're going to start putting a few tacks on now, piecing it together so we don't get too far that we actually forget how this whole thing is going to assemble. So we've got the bottom half built. So what we're going to do now is we're going to construct the top pieces, and then we're going to offer it back up to the car, and then the pieces we haven't cut now are basically the pieces that join the top part of the bumper to the bottom part. So if we needed to make any adjustments once we've offered it up, we can make the adjustments before we actually start cutting any more steel.
Here you go, YouTube. Let Chris explain what we've built.
Yeah, so whilst it looked like it's maybe half a boat at the moment, there's no way that this thing is going to float. But yeah, what we've done is we've essentially used these pieces here to kind of protect the main structural parts of the bodywork, but left all the clearance to get a good angle for the wheels if we're hitting any rocks and everything. So now we're going to start work on the piece which is going to go up here. And then we've got the templates for the infill as we said, but we're going to basically get this piece made up and then just ensure that those pieces we've got templated are still going to fit before we start cutting anything up. We're using the existing mounts which the winch tray mounted on, but we'll put some additional mounts probably to support the top piece up here because it is going to weigh a fair bit once it's actually finished.
Yeah, there's nothing to say about that, is there?
No, it's not going to fly. So here we are towards the end of day one. We've got a fair bit of this side built, so we're going to obviously now try and duplicate this on the other side. Everything's sort of lining up. We've got these bolts to pull tight, which will just pull this up a little bit higher. And now what we're going to do is use some 3mm plate to sort out and just double check our template to make sure that we can then fill these bits in here. But so far so good. It's starting to weigh a bit more every time we offer it up. But yeah, it's getting there bit by bit.
Now, what is it, Chris? Are we nearing the end of day one?
Yeah, we're near the end of day one. Finally got this straight. We had a bit of a kind of difference between the two. We worked it out in the end. So it's all tacked together at the moment. And tomorrow then we're going to start on making the final pieces to fill in here. But we've left it because we've noticed now, as things are always going to change, the actual original template is quite a bit off, so we're going to reform some template pieces now to fill in these bits here, and then do them at 3mm steel, and then finally our piece across here, and then attach the A-frame onto the top of that. Hey guys, so it's 8 o'clock at night. It's the end of day one. We've made some good progress. You can see it's pretty much taken shape. So now it's a case of really, like I said, just filling in the infills and connecting this bit up tomorrow, and then actually just properly welding all the joints up. So yeah, not a bad old day, is it? No,
it's gone on really well. The big bonus was you making that template.
Yeah, I mean that took a while to make, but it was worth it. As we said, I think because once these two pieces are on, we're going to have to change now all this middle bit because it's a good ½ inch out on places, so we're going to cut some more pieces tomorrow.
Well, it's just a case of trimming and fitting. It's just things have twisted a bit and we're not overly sure that everything lines up properly, but it will do by the time it's all welded up. And
it's always different doing it a piece of cardboard then to doing it in some 5mm steel, which has got no flex whatsoever.
Yeah, but overall it's gone together really well, hasn't it? It's all the panels that we've cut went in, they've slotted in, and it's all within 1/4 of an inch to an 1/2 an inch in a couple of places. It's all lined up, hasn't
Yeah.
it? But it's all in line now. Everything's straight and square.
Yeah.
So
we shall see you tomorrow, or basically in part 2 of this video, and we'll get the rest of this finished.
see you later.